Hey folks, it's Dust here again, and I got another tournament round video for you. This is the first round at the Red, White, and U tournament. It is at the Admiral in Sims, Alabama, which I've shown this course off several times, but this one's a little bit different because we played one round from the white tees and one round from the red tees, but also there were some added holes. So instead of it being an 18-hole layout like it normally is, we actually played 22 holes. And so what this caused was for a couple of like the par fours and par fives to be broken up into two separate holes in a couple of occasions. And then we also just had like one added hole out in the open between holes 8 and 9 that got used as well. And so I was able to film the, I guess you could say, harder round, the first round, which was from the white tees. And so I'm going to show you that video, and then we'll talk through it. And at the end, I'll kind of tell you how things wrapped up. All right, and so we kick things off round one, starting on the white tees at the Admiral. For most of the holes, there was a couple of little change-ups because some extra holes were added, so when we get to those, I'll explain. But here we are on hole 10 to kick things off. I was using my iBlend Roman and just didn't quite get over on it enough, so I got caught on the corner. Very unfortunate. Just didn't commit to the shot. A little jittery, maybe. First tee shot of the tournament, that is. And then here, I had the right idea. I just not put enough power on that disc. I really misjudged the distance on that approach, and so I left myself a really long circle 2-putt to try to save par. And I gave it a decent bid there, but gonna have to settle for a bogey on that one. Then we get to hole 11. And this is just a layup shot, as I do not have the distance to really carry the water off the tee, or at least not consistently. I actually kind of put myself a little further than I wanted to off the tee, so I had to kind of wrestle with those trees in front of me, but ultimately threw exactly what I needed. Perfect. And so with this being a softer par 4, I am able to grab birdie and immediately erase the mistake I made on hole 10 and get myself back to even. Now we get to hole 12. Thought I threw a good shot here. It just kind of kept turning on me instead of straightening out. And so it caught some stuff on the right-hand side of the fairway. So almost nearly exactly what I needed, but very dangerous green, so I kind of just laid that up. As if you try to go for the basket and miss high, then you have a long comebacker. So decided to just take my medicine, take par there. Then we get on to 13, kind of like a 300-ish foot dog leg right. And I just overturned it. I really thought this Halo Emperor was a bit more stable, so I thought I could get away with a little bit of mani on it, but apparently I needed to throw that flat or slide hyzer. And so at that point, there's really nothing I can do on this hole. Even saving par at that point is impossible. And so I have to just settle for bogey at this point. Now, for this hole, we played from 14's blue tee to a temp basket. So they kind of split this hole up into 2 holes. And it's the first time I'd actually seen this, so I didn't really know what to do because I had not practiced any of these temporary holes. But I threw like a turnover to a pretty good spot. I'm in the circle for a chance at birdie. And it's just one of those low putts where you just don't commit, and that one really hurt. And this is like a makeshift tee to play 14 normal. It was like 350 feet to the basket, I think, from that tee, but just kind of a tight tunnel right off the tee. I catch a tree early. I'm in no man's land. And you're about to see me do something I virtually never do, which is throw an overhand. A tomahawk. And somehow, miraculously, it actually worked out. Couldn't believe it. I actually gave myself a par save putt here. And I did save the par on a very tricky par 3. Now, this is hole 15 split up into 2 holes as well. This is like a 180-foot island hole. It's actually kind of similar to one of the holes we used at the Halloween Growler last year, or the year before last, rather. And, yeah, was able to get the birdie on it, no problem. But then I misjudged the distance on this. This was like 250. And I thought I had the distance right and had the right disc, but I got caught up on a tree, so I didn't get that last skip towards the basket. And so I had a long putt that I yanked completely, and so I have to settle for par on this one, which was disappointing. I think I could have birdied this hole, but oh well. Then we played normal hole 16. This is my flippier Pathfinder, but I got it a little bit nose up there, and so it just didn't turn. And so it's left me with a long birdie putt from way deep. Gave it a decent run, but I have to settle for par on this one as well. So far I'm not playing too bad. I just haven't capitalized on a couple of birdie opportunities. And I had a really bad bogey to start on the first hole we played. So this is just normal hole 17 from Whites. Threw a good placement shot off the tee. Pretty much everything I could have wanted. Then on this shot, I hit the gap. Never mind, no I didn't. I got that wrong. I thought I hit the gap. I kind of almost did, but I caught the right side of the gap and got kicked way left. And so now I'm in a very weird spot. I'm just going to try to punch something through. And honestly, it's not that big of a deal. At this point, I kind of knew that I was going to bogey this hole just based on where that second shot landed. Or at best par of the hole, I guess. And I want to par on the hole. I don't know. Math's hard. This, I just caught a tree I forgot was even there. This was like hole 18 from the blue tee to like this really short island basket. And so I just wound up pitching up and taking a par. Again, this is just kind of like one of those weird temp holes, but it is what it is. And so now we played 18 from the red tee. So kind of a softer par 5 in this position. Laced this tee shot. Super happy with this. Got that slight turning shot that I wanted right into the gap. Then just kind of pulled this one right a little bit. I needed something more overstable, hyzering more to have a chance to maybe attack for eagle. And so, while I couldn't really attack for eagle, I was able to find a way to pitch out and give myself still a chance to putt for birdie. And I got it. So, pretty well played. Now I get to hole 1. Not going to lie, I kind of missed my line here. I was trying to go for the gap to the left of the one that I hit because this far outside right really leaves you a long approach to the green. So I was trying to do like a flex shot that eventually panned out. And I just overdid it. Caught a tree. Got kicked into a nasty spot. Now I'm trying to see if I can weave something through. But so many trees in my way at this point. And then I yank this one as well into the woods. And that's a double bogey. I wound up double bogey in that hole. So that was a really nasty blemish on the scorecard. One of the biggest mistakes I made all day. But I go to a tough hole 3. Throw the perfect forehand. And I got an amazing roll right next to the basket to immediately grab a birdie. So I at least erased one of the strokes from hole 1. But then I wound up bogeying hole 4, which was kind of nasty. Didn't catch it on film. So now we're on hole 5, where I almost threw the right forehand to get me to the basket for a birdie putt, but just happened to catch a tree on the way to the green. And so I have to settle for par on that one. And then we get to hole 6 from the white tee. And just catch a tree there in the middle of the fairway. It wasn't a bad throw, but just didn't quite work out. Then this was nearly it. I needed it to be like a foot more outside, and I would have been in the position I wanted to be in. But still not bad. I'm able to lay up for par. And so, not too shabby. Then we got the tricky island par 3. I actually thought I juiced this throw because I'm trying to land short of the water. And I did. Worse than I thought. So it wound up being way further away than I thought. So this is a tricky jump putt to the island to try to save par. Whew, that tree saved my life. It was a very tricky jump putt to the island to save my par from where I was. Then this was normal hole 8 from the white tee, but you'll see as I release this disc, there was like an added double mando that's not normally there that you had to hit off the tee. And there was also an OB line along the left-hand side of the fairway. So I elected just to throw like a super flippy backhand, knowing that this at least gives me the best chance to avoid the OB left and get through the Mandos. And you don't even really need that much distance off the tee on this par 4 when you're playing from the whites. So yeah, I threw my Halo Maya flat and just let it turn through the double Mando and settle on the right-hand side of the fairway. And so I think I had like 250-ish to the basket. And I just threw this a little bit too outside and nose up. Just didn't judge the distance correctly. I've actually been kind of doing that on some of my backhand up shots lately where I'm just not quite getting the distance judgment right. But I made a great putt, so I wound up birdieing the hole anyway. Then this was a tip hole that they put between 8 and 9. It was from basically the wood line past hole 8's basket. And you were throwing to the practice basket, which is like right next to the parking lot between holes 9 and 10, if you're somewhat familiar with the area. And I think it was like a 700 and something foot par 4, because I think we were like 420-ish feet away from the water line from where this tee area is. And then once you got to the water line, I think you still had like another 275 to go to get to the basket, or like 300-ish feet to go to get to the basket, something like that. So anyway, and there was an OB along the right-hand side. And so I grabbed my new Domi iBlend Emperor, and I ripped this thing. So I wound up throwing it about 360 feet off the tee, which is pretty nice for me. I think I'm still... maybe I got that wrong. Maybe I was like 460 or 480 from the water line. Because I'm still like about 100 feet from the water line right now. And I range found the basket, which is over here. The practice basket is what we're playing to. Not this basket. I know that might be kind of confusing. But we're playing to this orange basket over here. And I saw that I was like 315 from the basket. And so I decided to throw my Roman, which is basically a PD. And I just didn't hit it hard at all. I softed it real bad. Luckily, enough to get over the water. And this was actually a par 5, so I had a chance to, like, go for eagle if I would have thrown that second shot correctly. But I wound up having a very long putt for eagle instead. Didn't make it, but wound up getting the birdie, so... And so this is my scorecard from that first round. It was 906 rated. And really the only big things were I started on hole 10 and bogeyed it. Should have easily parred this hole. I just, wound up going early in the corner right off the tee. Shaky, tee shot to kick off the tournament. Fair enough. Bounce back with a birdie on the next hole. Par on 12 is fine. Really should be at least parring 13, but I had a really nasty kick to the right, so fair enough. And then really this stretch I wasn't too upset with. I feel like I could have, I missed the birdie putt I should have had probably on this little temp hole that we played off of 14's blue tee. But then, other than that, I was pretty happy with these results, like parring out. 17, I did want to bogey in that hole, actually. Okay, fair enough. I thought I might have parred it. So, yeah, I just had a nasty tree kick to the left on my second shot that put me way out of position. Again, not too upset about that. Wound up parring the temp hole, birdied actual hole 18. But then, yeah, the nasty one was just getting the double bogey on hole 1, which you did get to see on film. I didn't show hole 2 on film, but I bogeyed that hole. I birdied hole 3, and then bogeyed hole 4, which I also didn't catch on film. But then from there, I played pretty clean through some holes that could go either way for me, honestly. Especially 7. I knew that was going to be a par, so I actually executed this well. Got the birdie here. I thought this was supposed to be a par 5. I guess it was a par 4. Fair enough, so I guess I parred this hole. And then I wound up on this one. Didn't catch this on film. It was the last hole we played. I bogeyed it, which was ludicrous. That should be an easy par. So, all in all, I had a couple of mistakes that I feel like I could have shot even, or maybe even a couple under par from the whites normally. But all in all, not too shabby. And I didn't catch the second round on film, but I'll try to talk you through it with the footage that I do have. And I'll have the scorecard on the bottom. All right, so the second round, I actually started on hole 9, which I don't have on film, and I parred it. Should have been a birdie. I parred it, whatever. I get to hole 10. I teed off in the red tee up here, you can see. And it was only a 250-ish foot shot to the basket. And I threw what I thought was a really good shot, but I caught a really ghost limb kind of sticking out that I didn't see on this right-hand side of the fairway, and it knocked me straight down to the dirt. It knocked all my forward advancement out. And so I wound up parring this hole. So I went par to open. Then here on hole 11, we started on the red tee, and I actually threw it in the water. Just threw a bad shot nose up, but wound up saving par because it still is a par 4, even from the tee that's only 300 feet from the basket. So was able to go to the water's edge where it was last in bounds, pitch up, and take a par. Then hole 12, we teed off from here. I just caught a limb on the right-hand side again, wound up par on the hole. A little bit depressing. Then hole 13, we teed off from the short tee up here, and I was able to get the birdie. Then we played that 10th hole again from the exact same teeing location as I did this round. So teeing off from here to that same basket. And I basically threw an identical shot to what you're seeing here. I threw the exact same shot and basically landed in the exact same place and missed the exact same putt. Actually, I think maybe my putt was a little bit I think I was a little further back, but I still missed it. So it's just like, okay, whatever. Then the next hole, I was able to par it again. The weird 10th hole where we teed off in the spot, but I actually laced it right down the center. I threw a mid-range instead of my putter, and I laced it right down the center, and actually was only about like 60 feet from the basket, and had a chance to birdie actually, and just didn't hit up the putt. But it was like a long circle 2 putt that I had to bend left to right, so it was whatever. I wasn't too upset about it. Then this hole that you're seeing, I did the exact same thing. We played from the exact same tee. I threw the exact same shot. I landed in the exact same spot. And I made the exact same putt that you're about to watch again for another birdie. Then this hole, I bogeyed it. I tried to adjust by throwing in mid-range, but I shanked it and wound up catching like one of these trees here, which knocked me and rolled me back into like this crazy position that I couldn't really get up and down from. And so I wound up bogeying the hole. It was a little bit embarrassing, I won't lie. Then 16, we teed off from this tee here, the short tee, and I was able to easily throw it up there and grab a birdie. It was only about 170 feet from the red tee, so pretty easy. Then this hole, we teed off from the red tee. I bombed one down the fairway and actually got through the gap. So I got through this gap right here and actually got to a pretty good spot here on the left-hand side of the fairway. And then I just messed up my upshot really bad, and so I wound up taking a par on this hole when I probably could have had a birdie. Then this short little island hole on 18 that I showed you earlier, this one, I actually was able to birdie it the second time around. We teed off from a little bit further up the fairway. It was a super short little like pit shot, and I was able to grab a birdie. Then we played 18 from the red tee again. So this exact same shot. This time, my disc got caught on the tree on the corner, which basically burned a stroke. And had a little bit of trouble working my way up the fairway. Wound up bogeying the hole. Took a 6 on the par 5. So a little bit worse result there. Then this hole, hole 1, that I double bogeyed the first round. We played it from the red tee, which is like right here. So a decent bit more up the fairway. And I wound up parring the hole. I just got caught on the tree off the tee. Didn't really have the best approach shot. Whatever. I parred the hole. No big deal. Then I also parred hole 2, which I didn't catch on film either round, so can't really show you that one. But on this hole, hole 3, we teed off from the short tee, and I was able to birdie the hole, no problem. Then hole 4, I didn't catch on film either round, but I actually eagled it from the red tee because it's a par 5. But it's only like 500 and something, like a little over 500 feet from the red tee, so it's a really soft par 5. But I was able to eagle it, and hey, that's all that matters. Then this hole, we played from the short tee, and I was able to birdie it. I threw a forehand. Like the short tee's like right up here instead of back where I threw from in the original video. And so my disc landed right next to the basket. Was able to birdie the hole, no problem. Hole 6 was this hole. We teed off a little bit further up, and I wound up parring the hole because I just got caught on something off the tee. But no big deal. Hole 7 is the same island hole. It's just you tee off from here. But the rule for this tournament was if you were OB off the tee, you had to go to a drop zone, and it was like a death putt for par, and so very likely bogey, as opposed to like normal OB rules where if you touch the island, you could take it from the island, in which case it'd be worth risking running the island from here because you could either maybe birdie the hole if you somehow stay on the island, and even if you don't, you'd have a short par putt because you'd be taking it from the island. But because of the whole drop zone rule that they had, I just laid up off the tee and took a par. Then this hole, I basically played it the exact same way. So we can kind of watch this again. I teed off from up here, though, so it's a shorter shot, but I basically threw the exact same shot, just a turning disc into the fairway. I just had a shorter up shot this time around because I was further up the fairway. I think I was like right around here off the tee, so I had like less than 200 feet to the basket. And then this time I threw the up shot better and was able to land it, you know, right next to the basket for basically a tap-in birdie. Then this is the 10th hole, which I was able to get a 3 on. We teed off from shorter area, so I was able to put it closer to the water off the tee, and then I executed the upshot better, but was wide right, had like 50 feet to the basket and sunk it. So like I was like over here somewhere after my second throw and was able to 3 it from like a really long putt. So yeah, wound up being an 8 under par, 933 rated. Felt really good about this round. I think the only things that I feel like I could have cleaned up was I feel like I should have been able to birdie hole 2. It's a very easy hole from the red tee, so that one kind of stung a little bit. And then hole 9 also stung. That should have been a pretty easy birdie. Same with 10. Same with 11. So these are 3 holes I felt like I should be able to get, and I normally can when I play from the red tees, but it just didn't work out. Same with 12. It's a pretty short shot. So it's definitely some slip-ups on here, but with tournament pressure on and, you know, just a couple of little things kind of happening, you know, it is what it is, I guess you could say. Wound up getting 13. Missed this 10th hole, but this was a really hard par 3, so I was happy to par that. Got that birdie. Actually bogeyed the hole I talked about earlier, so that kind of stunk. But then I was able to get, you know, a couple of birdies here towards the end. And, yeah, so all in all, played a pretty good round and was able to come 3rd place. And so this was a very nice bounce back, considering the tournament I had just put up on my channel where I came dead last. That at the Midsummer Meltdown tournament, that was a very discouraging tournament. And I kind of talked in that video about how I was having struggles with my mental game. I was, you know, feeling like I was getting worse at the game and I was struggling to improve anymore. And I had hit like a plateau, but instead of plateauing, truly, I wound up slipping and falling, and I shot 2 horribly rated rounds. Well, this tournament, both my rounds are rated over 900. This one was rated 933. I shot 920 for the tournament, and I wound up coming 3rd in the field of 30 players. So all in all, pretty good. Now I missed 2nd place by 1 stroke, and I was like maybe 4 strokes off the leader or something like that. So I even had a chance to maybe win this tournament if I would have cleaned up a couple of strokes here and there. So the fact that I was able to be in a spot to potentially win after just going dead last felt really good, and to be able to finish what was a very competitive tournament. Again, 30 players in my field, and, you know, tough course like the Admiral is no joke. It's a very tricky course. And so to come out and shoot under par for the tournament overall and, you know, shoot a really hot second round, it felt good. It was nice to be able to have something go my way for a change. And it kind of gave me a little bit of like newfound understanding of how I should handle my mental game, because I was able to play a lot calmer and a lot more collected this tournament. Even when things went wrong, I was able to brush them off a lot better. And yeah, I was able to putt confidently. You know, yeah, I missed a couple of putts here and there that were kind of nervy in the first round, but the second round, I was hitting pretty much everything inside the circle. It felt great. And I even hit a couple of really long ones to grab some big ones. So all in all, pretty cool stuff. Really enjoyed it. If you enjoyed this content, please subscribe, like, comment down below, and I'll see you on the next one.